My name is Natalia, and I am 28 years old. For 3 years straight, I spent Christmas alone in my tiny Seattle apartment, watching holiday movies with my cat Peanut while eating microwave dinners. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I was too busy, flights were too expensive, and my freelance graphic design work could not wait. But the truth was, I just could not afford to go home. So when my mom called this year and said she would buy me a plane ticket to come home for the holidays, I cried. I actually cried. She said the whole family missed me, that they wanted us all together for Christmas. I believed her. I believed every single word. What I did not know was that plane ticket came with a price I never agreed to pay. Before I dive into this story, I want to know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you have ever felt like an outsider in your own family, hit that like button right now because this story might feel a little too familiar. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss what happens next. Trust me, you are going to want to hear how this ends. To understand why that phone call from my mom meant so much to me, I need to take you back to the beginning. Back to a time when it was just the two of us against the world. My father left when I was 4 years old. I do not have many memories of him, just flashes, really. The smell of cigarette smoke, a deep voice that sometimes sang off key, the sound of a door slamming shut one night and never opening again. He did not leave a forwarding address. He did not send child support. He simply vanished like we were a chapter of his life he decided to skip. After he left, my mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. She was a waitress at a diner during the day and cleaned office buildings at night. I spent a lot of time at neighbors' houses eating dinners that were not quite enough and watching television shows I was probably too young for, but every night, no matter how late my mom would come home, she would crawl into our small bed in our cramped one-bedroom apartment, pull me close, and whisper stories in my ear until I fell asleep. Those nights were everything to me. She would tell me about a future where we had a big house with a backyard, a future where she did not have to work so hard, a future where I could have my own room painted whatever color I wanted. She promised me that one day things would get better, and I believed her with every fiber of my being. In those days, I was her whole world, and she was mine. We did not have much, but we had each other, and that felt like enough. Then she met Greg. I was 14 years old when my mom came home one evening with a different kind of sparkle in her eyes. She had met someone at a job fair, she said. A man named Greg, who worked as a senior accountant at a construction company. He was stable, she told me, kind, and most importantly, he could give us the life she always promised we would have. I wanted to be happy for her. I really did. And part of me was. After years of watching her struggle, watching her come home with aching feet and dark circles under her eyes, the idea that someone could take care of her felt like a relief. But another part of me, the part I tried to ignore, felt something shift between us the moment she said his name. They dated for 8 months before getting married. Greg was fine, I suppose. He was polite to me, bought me a laptop for school, and never raised his voice. But he also never really tried to know me. Our conversations were surface level at best. How is school? Fine. Do you need anything? No thanks. That was the extent of our relationship. I was not his daughter, and he made no effort to pretend otherwise. When I was 15, my mom told me she was pregnant. I remember the exact moment. We were sitting at the kitchen table in the new house Greg had bought for us, a house with 4 bedrooms and a backyard, just like she always promised. But somehow it did not feel like our house. It felt like Greg's house that we happened to live in. The baby was a girl. They named her Brooke. And from the moment she was born, I watched my mother transform into someone I barely recognized. The way she looked at Brooke was different from the way she had ever looked at me. There was a softness there, a tenderness that seemed reserved exclusively for this new baby. She called Brooke her little angel, her miracle, her blessing. I had never heard her use those words about me. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Of course, a mother loves her newborn. Of course, there would be an adjustment period. I was 14 years older than Brooke. I did not need the same kind of attention. I was practically an adult. But the ache in my chest told a different story. 3 years later, when I was 18 and about to leave for college, Tyler was born, another perfect baby for the perfect family. By then, I had already accepted my role. I was the daughter from before, the reminder of a harder time, the one who did not quite fit into the new family portrait. When I got accepted to a university in Seattle, I felt relief more than anything else. Finally, I could stop pretending. Finally, I could build a life where I was not constantly measuring myself against children who had done nothing wrong except be born into circumstances I could never compete with. I threw myself into college and then into my career. I called home on birthdays and major holidays. I sent Christmas cards and the occasional gift. But I stopped going back to Phoenix, partly because I could not afford it, but mostly because every time I did go back, I felt like a guest in my own family. There was no bedroom for me in that 5-bedroom house, no photos of me on the walls, no space at the table that felt like mine. So I stayed away telling myself it was easier for everyone, including me. Life in Seattle was not glamorous, but it was mine. I rented a studio apartment in a building that had seen better days. The windows rattled when it rained, and the heating was unreliable at best. But I had decorated it with fairy lights and secondhand furniture, and it felt like home in a way my mother's house never did. I worked as a freelance graphic designer, which meant my income was unpredictable, but my schedule was flexible. Some months I barely made rent. Other months, I could splurge on takeout instead of cooking ramen. I had built a small circle of friends people I met through work or at the coffee shop down the street, and I had Peanut, my orange tabby cat, who I adopted from a shelter 3 years ago. He was terrible at catching bugs, but excellent at keeping me company during lonely nights. Every December, I would watch holiday movies alone, video call my mom for exactly 12 minutes on Christmas Day, and tell myself that next year would be different. Next year, I would save enough money. Next year, I would make it home. But next year never came. So when my phone rang on that Tuesday evening in early December, and I saw my mom's name on the screen, I was surprised. She rarely called. Our communication had dwindled to brief text messages on special occasions, a thumbs-up emoji here, a heart emoji there. Nothing of substance, nothing real. I answered on the third ring, trying to sound casual, even though my heart was pounding. "Hey, Mom," I said. "Is everything okay?" Her voice came through warm and almost tender a tone I had not heard from her in years. "Natalia, sweetheart, I have been thinking about you so much lately. It has been too long since you have been home." I blinked, not sure I was hearing correctly. "Yeah," I managed. "It has been a while." 3 years, she said softly. 3 Christmases without my firstborn. That is just not right. I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. I wanted to say something, but my throat felt tight. She continued, "I talked to Greg, and we want you to come home for the holidays this year. And before you say anything about money, I already looked at flights. I am going to buy your ticket. All you have to do is pack your bags. Mom." I started, my voice cracking. "No arguments," she interrupted. "This is happening. The kids miss you. I miss you. We want the whole family together for Christmas. Please say yes." I said yes. Of course I said yes. What else could I say? The woman who raised me, who once whispered fairy tales into my ear in our tiny shared bed, was finally reaching out. Finally acknowledging that I mattered. Finally choosing me. The weeks between that phone call and my flight were the happiest I had felt in years. I went to the mall and spent hours picking out perfect gifts. For my mom, a beautiful cashmere scarf in her favorite shade of burgundy. For Greg, a set of elegant cufflinks I thought looked sophisticated. For Tyler, a limited edition Lego set of his favorite video game. For Brooke, a makeup palette from a brand she had mentioned wanting on her Instagram. I spent 3 months' worth of savings on those gifts. I did not care. For once, I was going to show up with something to offer. I was going to be a real part of the family. I also made the difficult decision to turn down 3 major freelance projects that would have kept me busy through the holiday season. My clients were not happy, but I explained it was a family emergency. In a way, it was. This was my chance to repair something that had been broken for too long. Work could wait. Maya, my best friend from college who now lived in Los Angeles, could not stop commenting on how different I seemed. "Girl, I have never seen you this excited," she said during one of our video calls. "You are literally glowing." I laughed, feeling almost embarrassed by my own enthusiasm. "I know. I just feel like this is the year everything changes, you know? Like maybe my mom finally realizes she has been distant, and she is trying to fix it." Maya smiled, but there was something in her eyes that looked almost cautious. "Just be careful, Nat. Do not let your expectations get too high." I brushed off her concern. She was being protective, that was all. She did not understand what this invitation meant to me. She could not possibly understand. The morning of my flight, I woke up at 4:30 because I was too excited to sleep. I triple-checked my luggage, made sure Peanut's cat sitter had all the instructions, and called an Uber to the airport with a ridiculous grin on my face. The flight from Seattle to Phoenix was just under 3 hours. I spent most of it staring out the window, imagining the reunion. My mom would be waiting at arrivals, maybe holding a sign with my name on it like they do in the movies. She would pull me into a tight hug and tell me how much she missed me. Greg would shake my hand warmly and say something about how good it was to have me home. Brooke and Tyler would be excited to see their big sister. We would all pile into the car and drive home together, talking and laughing the whole way. When the plane touched down, I grabbed my carry-on and practically ran through the terminal. I checked my phone, expecting a text from my mom, saying she was parked outside or waiting at baggage claim. Nothing. I called her. She picked up on the fifth ring. "Hey, sweetie, you landed, yeah?" I said, slightly out of breath. "I am here. Where should I meet you?" There was a pause. "Oh, about that. Things are a little hectic here. Can you just grab an Uber? We are in the middle of packing, and I cannot get away right now. Packing." "I will explain when you get here," she said quickly. "Just come straight to the house. The door is unlocked." She hung up before I could respond. I stood there in the middle of the airport, my carry-on at my feet, trying to process what just happened. Packing? What packing? We were supposed to be celebrating Christmas together, not packing anything. And why could she not take 20 minutes to pick me up from the airport? She had not seen me in 3 years. I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe they were rearranging furniture for the tree. Maybe they were packing away fall decorations to make room for Christmas ones. There had to be a reasonable explanation. The Uber ride took 45 minutes because of traffic. By the time I arrived at the house, the sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the perfectly manicured lawn. The house looked exactly as I remembered it. Large, impressive, and somehow cold despite the warm Arizona weather. I rolled my suitcase up the driveway and pushed open the front door. The scene inside made me freeze. The living room was chaos, open suitcases everywhere, clothes piled on every surface, sunscreen bottles, beach towels, and swimsuits scattered across the couch. My mom was frantically folding summer dresses and shoving them into a large pink suitcase. Greg was in the corner, thumbing through what looked like passports. Brooke and Tyler were arguing loudly about whether to bring the iPad or the Nintendo Switch, apparently unaware or unconcerned that they could not have both. No one looked up when I walked in. I cleared my throat. "Hey, I am here." My mom glanced up briefly. "Oh, Natalia, you made it. Just set your stuff down somewhere. I will talk to you in a bit." And that was it. That was my welcome home after 3 years. I stood there in the middle of the chaos, holding my suitcase handle like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. 3 years. 3 years of missed holidays, of lonely Christmases, of telling myself that next time would be different. And this was what I got: a distracted glance and a dismissive wave. I set my suitcase by the stairs and tried to find a place to sit. The couch was covered in beach gear, so I perched awkwardly on the arm of a chair and watched my family bustle around me like I was invisible. Dinner that night was pizza delivered from a chain restaurant. We ate standing around the kitchen island because the dining table was buried under travel brochures and packing lists. No one asked me about my flight. No one asked about my life in Seattle. No one asked about anything. My mom and Greg talked exclusively about logistics. Did you confirm the car rental? Did you print the hotel confirmation? Do we have enough pesos for tips? Pesos, I finally interjected. Finally, where are you going that uses pesos? My mom waved her hand dismissively. We will talk about it later, sweetie. Finish your pizza. Brooke rolled her eyes at something on her phone. Tyler was already done eating and had disappeared somewhere with his Nintendo Switch. Greg mumbled something about double-checking the insurance on the rental car and walked out of the room. I stood there holding a slice of pizza. I no longer had any appetite for feeling like I had walked into a play where everyone knew their lines except me. After dinner, I stepped outside to the backyard to get some air. The evening was cool by Phoenix standards, and I wrapped my arms around myself as I stared at the pool that sparkled under the patio lights. A pool I had never swum in. A backyard I had never played in. This house was never my home, no matter how many bedrooms it had. The sliding door opened behind me, and Greg stepped out holding a cigar. He seemed surprised to see me, like he had forgotten I existed. "Oh," he said, "getting some air." "Yeah," I forced a small smile. "It is nice out here." He nodded, lighting his cigar and taking a long puff. We stood in awkward silence for a moment. Greg and I had never been close, but right now his presence felt particularly uncomfortable. So I ventured carefully, "What is all the packing about?" He glanced at me sideways, then back at his cigar. "Your mom did not tell you." "Tell me what?" He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, I do not want to get in the middle of anything. You should probably talk to her. Greg," I said, my voice firmer now. "Please, just tell me what is going on." He hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "We are going to Cancun, the whole family. We leave the day after tomorrow." I felt like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. "Cancun? You are going to Cancun for Christmas? It was supposed to be a surprise," he said, not meeting my eyes. "For the kids. Diana has been planning it for months." "And what about me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Greg finally looked at me, and for a split second, I thought I saw something like guilt in his expression. "Well," he started slowly, "we sort of thought, I mean, Diana mentioned—" He trailed off, shaking his head. "Look, you should really talk to your mother about this. I do not want to say the wrong thing." He stamped out his cigar and went back inside, leaving me alone with the sinking realization that my presence here had nothing to do with Christmas at all. That night, my mom finally called me into the master bedroom. I walked in to find her sitting on the edge of the bed, surrounded by summer clothes and travel accessories. A Cancun travel guide lay open on the nightstand. Sunscreen, bug spray, and a floppy sun hat were arranged neatly on the dresser. She patted the space beside her. "Sit down, honey. We need to talk." I remained standing. "Mom, what is going on?" Greg said something about Cancun. She sighed as if I was being difficult. "Yes. Greg surprised me months ago with a family trip to Cancun for Christmas. It was incredibly generous of him. An all-inclusive resort right on the beach. The kids are going to love it." "The kids," I repeated. "So you and Greg and Brooke and Tyler." She nodded, not catching my meaning. "Exactly. A perfect family Christmas." "Mom." I could feel my voice trembling. "Where do I fit into this perfect family Christmas?" She finally looked at me properly, and I saw something flicker across her face. Regret, guilt, or maybe just annoyance at having to have this conversation. "That is what I wanted to talk to you about," she said slowly. "You see, when I realized we would be gone for the holidays, I got worried about leaving the house empty. We have Mango to take care of the cat, and the plants in the garden. And with all the package deliveries this time of year," she trailed off, then started again. "So I thought, why not bring Natalia home? That way someone I trust can watch over things while we are away." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, waiting for her to laugh and say she was joking, and of course I was coming to Cancun with them. But she just looked at me with that same expectant expression, like she had offered me something wonderful and was waiting for my gratitude. "You flew me home to house sit," I said flatly. "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds bad," she frowned. "But really, it is a win-win situation. You get to stay in this beautiful house all by yourself for a week. Free food in the fridge, free Wi-Fi, no rent to pay. And I get peace of mind knowing someone is taking care of things. It is like a vacation for you too." "A vacation," I repeated. "While you go to Cancun." She nodded enthusiastically, apparently oblivious to my tone. "Exactly. You can relax, watch movies, use the pool. You will have a wonderful time." I felt something crack inside me. "Mom, I gave up 3 projects to come here. I spent my savings on gifts for everyone. I thought—" I paused, trying to steady my voice. "I thought you wanted me here because you missed me." She sighed again, that same frustrated sigh. "I do miss you, Natalia, but you are always so dramatic. This is not a big deal. You should be grateful I bought you a plane ticket at all. Do you know how expensive flights are during the holidays?" "Grateful?" The word landed like a slap. "You want me to be grateful that you tricked me into flying across the country to be your free house sitter?" "I did not trick you," she snapped, her patience clearly wearing thin. "I said I wanted the family together for Christmas, and I do. You are going to be here in the family home. That counts." Counts for what? My voice was rising now. "I am not being invited to Christmas, Mom. I am being left behind while you take your real family on vacation." "Real family." She stood up, her eyes narrowing. "Do not start with that. Brooke and Tyler are your siblings. Just because you choose to live 3,000 miles away and never visit does not mean you are not part of this family. I never visit because there is nothing here for me." I could feel tears burning in my eyes. "There is no room for me in this house. There are no pictures of me on the walls. Every time I come home, I feel like a stranger. And this just proves it. You would rather fly me across the country to watch your cat than actually spend Christmas with me." She stared at me for a long moment, and I thought maybe finally I had gotten through to her. Maybe she would apologize. Maybe she would say she had not thought about how this would make me feel. Instead, she shook her head slowly. "You know what, Natalia? You have always been too sensitive. You take everything personally. I try to do something nice for you, and you turn it into a whole production. This is exactly why I knew you would not want to come to Cancun. You would have found something to complain about there, too." My mouth fell open. "You never even gave me the option. You never asked if I wanted to come." "Because the trip was already booked," she said, as if that explained everything. "4 tickets. 4. There was not room for you. You could have gotten a 5th ticket. The resort was fully booked. You could have found another resort." "Natalia," her voice was sharp now. "Enough! This is happening. We are leaving in 2 days, and I need you to step up and be responsible. I am trusting you with my home. You should be honored." The door opened and Greg poked his head in. "Everything okay in here, fine," my mom said quickly. "We were just finishing up." Greg looked between us, clearly sensing the tension, but unwilling to wade into it. "Okay then. I will be in the garage checking the luggage." He disappeared, and I was left staring at my mother, the woman who once promised me the world from our tiny shared bed. The woman who used to whisper that everything would be better someday. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket and handed it to me. "Here is everything you need to know. Mango eats twice a day, morning and evening. The plants need watering every other day. I have listed all the expected deliveries. Do not open any of them, just bring them inside. And please do not have anyone over. I do not want strangers in my house." I took the paper numbly. "Also," she added, "do not use Greg's car. It is his baby. If you need to go somewhere, call an Uber or walk." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. She smiled then, that bright false smile she used when she wanted to pretend everything was fine. "Great. I knew I could count on you. This is going to be wonderful for everyone." She walked past me and out of the room, leaving me standing there holding a list of chores like I was the hired help instead of her daughter. I did not sleep that first night. I lay on the couch in the living room because there was no bedroom prepared for me. In a house with 5 bedrooms, there was not a single one that was mine. One was the master for Mom and Greg. One was Brooke's, decorated in millennial pink with inspirational quotes on the walls. One was Tyler's, covered in video game posters and Lego sets. One was a home office for Greg. And the 5th was a guest room that apparently had been converted into a home gym. There was a treadmill where a bed used to be. So I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling and let the tears fall silently down my temples and into my hair. I thought about all the missed birthdays, the year I turned 22 and waited all day for a phone call that never came. When I finally called her, she said she had been busy with Tyler's soccer practice, and time just got away from her. She promised to send a gift that never arrived. I thought about my college graduation. She said she would be there. She promised. But the week before, Brooke got a mild cold, and my mother decided she could not leave her. I walked across that stage and scanned the crowd anyway, hoping against hope that she had changed her mind. She had not. I thought about all the phone calls that went unanswered, the text messages that got one-word replies, the emails that went ignored. I had spent years telling myself she was just busy. She had 2 young kids. She had a full life. It was not personal. But lying there on that couch, surrounded by suitcases filled with beach clothes and excitement, I could not pretend anymore. It was personal. It had always been personal. Somewhere along the way, my mother had decided that I did not matter as much as her new family, and instead of telling me outright, she let me figure it out through 1,000 small cruelties. The next morning, I woke to the sound of chaos. The family was in full preparation mode for their trip. Suitcases were being zipped. Sunscreen was being distributed. Tyler was complaining that he could not find his favorite swimming goggles. Brooke was taking selfies with the Cancun travel guide. My mom thrust a new list into my hands. I added a few more things, she said briskly. Also, the neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, might drop by to pick up some mail we are holding for her. Just let her in if she knocks. I nodded mechanically. The rest of the morning was a blur. I watched from the periphery as my family prepared for their dream vacation. At one point, Brooke glanced at me and said, "Must be nice to have the house all to yourself. You can throw a party or whatever." She laughed at her own joke and went back to her phone. Just before noon, the luggage was loaded into the SUV. My mother gave me a perfunctory hug, the kind you give a distant acquaintance at a networking event. "Thank you for doing this," she said. "I knew I could count on you. Call me if anything goes wrong, but try to handle things yourself first. We will have limited phone access at the resort." Greg gave me an awkward nod. The kids were already in the car, their faces pressed against the window with excitement. And then they were gone. The SUV pulled out of the driveway, turned left at the end of the street, and disappeared from view. I stood in the doorway for a long time, staring at the empty street. Then I walked back into the house, closed the door behind me, and let out a sob that had been building for 15 years. The first day alone was the hardest. I wandered through the house like a ghost, touching surfaces that felt foreign, even though I had technically lived here as a teenager. I looked at the family photos on the wall, that gallery of smiling faces in matching outfits at various vacation destinations. Disney World, the Grand Canyon, a cruise ship somewhere tropical. In not a single photo was I present. I fed Mango the cat a grumpy orange tabby, who seemed as indifferent to my presence as everyone else in this family. I watered the plants. I brought in 2 Amazon packages and set them unopened on the kitchen counter as instructed. I ate leftover pizza for dinner, standing alone in the massive kitchen staring at the refrigerator covered in magnets from places I had never been. A magnet from Hawaii, one from New York, one from Paris. Each one a reminder of family trips I was never invited on. The second day was more of the same. I developed a routine. Wake up, feed the cat water, the plants check for packages, eat whatever I could find in the fridge, and try not to cry. I called Maya once, but only managed a few minutes of conversation before I had to hang up because I could not keep my voice steady. On the third day, my mom FaceTimed. I almost did not answer, but some masochistic part of me wanted to see what I was missing, wanted to torture myself with the visual evidence of their happiness. I accepted the call. My mother's face appeared sun-kissed and beaming. Behind her, I could see a pristine pool and palm trees swaying in the breeze. Brooke was in a lounge chair, in a cute bikini scrolling through her phone. Tyler was cannonballing into the pool while Greg supervised. "Natalia," my mom chirped, "how is everything at the house?" "Fine," I managed. "Wonderful." She turned the camera to show me their surroundings. "Look at this place. It is absolute paradise. The kids are having the time of their lives." Tyler ran up to the camera dripping wet. "Nat, I swam with dolphins today." "Well, not real dolphins, but there was a dolphin show, and they let me touch one after." "That is great, buddy," I said, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. "And look at my tan." Brooke appeared in frame, showing off her shoulders. "I am going to be so bronze when we get back." My mom took the camera back. "Anyway, I just wanted to check in. You are feeding Mango, right?" "Yes, Mom." "And watering the plants?" "Yes." "And not having parties?" "No parties." She nodded approvingly. "Good girl." "Oh, I wish you could see this sunset." "Hold on." She turned the camera toward the horizon, where the sun was sinking into the ocean in brilliant shades of orange and pink. "Is that not the most beautiful thing you have ever seen?" I stared at the screen at this stunning vista that I should have been seeing in person, that I could have been seeing if my mother had cared enough to include me. "It is beautiful," I whispered. "Anyway," she said, turning the camera back to her face, "I have to go. They are seating us for dinner soon. 5-star restaurant in the resort." "Can you imagine no?" I said quietly. "I cannot." If she caught the bitterness in my voice, she did not show it. "Okay, honey, talk soon. Keep up the good work." She blew a kiss at the camera and disconnected. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the black screen. My reflection stared back at me, pale and tired and utterly alone. That night, I could not stop thinking about the FaceTime call. My mother's cheerful voice asking if I was feeding the cat. Brooke showing off her tan. Tyler's excitement about the dolphin show. They were having the Christmas of their dreams, while I sat alone in their empty house watering their plants. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "Hey girl, just checking in. How is the family reunion going?" I stared at the message for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I started to type, "Fine, everything is great." But then I stopped. I deleted the words, and I started typing the truth. I told Maya everything. About the house sitting, about the Cancun trip I was not invited on, about the list of chores, about the couch I was sleeping on because there was no bedroom for me in my own mother's house, about the FaceTime call where my mom showed me a sunset I should have been watching in person. My phone rang before I even finished typing. Natalia. Maya's voice was sharp with disbelief. Are you serious right now? I wish I was not. She was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke again, her voice was gentler. Nat, listen to me. What your mother did is not okay. It is not normal. It is not something you should just accept. I know, I whispered. Do you, though? Because you have been making excuses for her for years. Oh, she is busy with the kids. Oh, she did not mean it that way. Natalia, she flew you across the country under false pretenses to use you as free labor. That is not love. That is manipulation. I felt tears sliding down my cheeks again. I just wanted her to want me there. I wanted to be part of the family. I know. Maya's voice softened even more. But honey, you deserve to be with people who actually want you around, not people who see you as a convenient option. We talked for over an hour. Maya let me cry. She let me vent. She let me finally say all the things I had been holding inside for years. And somewhere in that conversation, something shifted inside me. You know what Maya said eventually? You are a grown woman. You do not have to stay there. You do not owe her anything. I thought about my job, my apartment, my cat being looked after by a friend. There was nothing keeping me in this house except misplaced loyalty. But what about Mango? I asked weakly. And the plants? Maya actually laughed. Natalia, the plants will survive a few days. Leave extra food for the cat. This is not your responsibility. You are not the hired help. You are supposed to be a daughter. That word hit me hard. Daughter. Was that what I was? Because I certainly did not feel like one. I stayed up late that night thinking, and by 2 in the morning, I had made my decision. I pulled up a travel website on my phone and searched for flights from Phoenix to Seattle. There was one leaving at 9:45 the next morning. It was expensive, nearly $400, but I had just enough left on my credit card. I booked it. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. I moved through the house quietly gathering my things. I had never unpacked much in the first place. There had not been anywhere to put my clothes, except a pile on the floor next to the couch. I fed Mango double his usual portion and filled a second bowl with extra food. I filled his water dish to the brim and set out an additional bowl of water just in case. I watered all the plants thoroughly, giving them enough to last at least 3 or 4 days. I stacked the Amazon packages neatly on the counter. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and wrote a note. I kept it simple. I did not scream or rage or list all the ways she had hurt me. I just wrote the truth as plainly as I could. Mom, I came home because I thought you wanted me here. I thought for once I was a priority, but you did not bring me home for Christmas. You brought me home to watch your house while you took your real family on vacation. I am not the hired help. I am your daughter. Or at least I am supposed to be. I am going back to Seattle. The cat has enough food and water for a few days. The plants are watered. The packages are on the counter. I hope you had a wonderful time in Cancun. I hope it was everything you dreamed of. Do not call me when you get back. I need space to figure out who I am outside of constantly trying to earn your love. Natalia. I left the note on the kitchen island right next to the Amazon boxes. I took one last look around the house at the family photos that did not include me, at the refrigerator magnets from trips I was never invited on, at the 5 bedrooms that somehow had no room for me. Then I called an Uber, walked out the front door, and did not look back. The flight back to Seattle felt different from any flight I had ever taken. I was not running away from something. I was running toward myself. I sat by the window and watched Phoenix disappear beneath the clouds. I thought about everything that had led to this moment. All the years of hoping things would change. All the energy I had poured into being the perfect daughter, the grateful daughter, the daughter who never complained even when she was being treated like an afterthought. I had spent my entire adult life waiting for my mother to love me the way I needed to be loved, waiting for her to see me, waiting for her to choose me. And in all that waiting, I had forgotten that I had a choice too. I chose myself, maybe for the first time ever. When I landed in Seattle, the rain was falling in that steady gray drizzle that the city is famous for. I had never been so happy to see clouds in my life. I took an Uber back to my apartment, climbed the stairs to my studio, and let myself in. Peanut looked up from his spot on my bed, annoyed that his cat sitter arrangement had been cut short. I scooped him up and buried my face in his fur. I am home, I whispered. I am actually home. 2 days later, my mother found the note. My phone exploded with notifications, missed calls, text messages, voicemails, each one angrier than the last. How could you do this to me? How could you be so selfish and irresponsible? The plants are dying, Natalia. Mango was out of water when we got home. You had one job, and you could not even do that right. After everything I have done for you, this is how you repay me. I read through the messages once. Then I put my phone on silent and went for a walk. She never once acknowledged what she had done. Never once apologized for lying to me, for manipulating me, for treating me like an inconvenience to be managed. In her mind, she was the victim. I was the ungrateful daughter who had let her down. A year ago, those messages would have destroyed me. I would have called her back sobbing, apologizing, begging her to forgive me for sins I had not committed. But something had changed in me. That plane ride back to Seattle had severed something, and I found that I did not want to reattach it. I did not respond to her messages. Not that day, not the next day, not ever. In January, I started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Reeves, a kind woman in her 50s, with silver hair and gentle eyes. In our first session, I told her everything. The childhood with just my mom and me, Greg, Brooke, and Tyler. The slow realization that I had been replaced. The Cancun trip that broke something in me. Dr. Reeves listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned forward slightly. It sounds like you have been seeking validation from your mother your whole life, she said, waiting for her to prove that you matter. I nodded throat tight. Here is the hard truth, Natalia. Some people are not capable of giving us what we need. That does not mean we are unworthy. It means they are limited. We spent the next several months unpacking my childhood, my relationship with my mother, my tendency to accept crumbs of affection and call them love. I learned about boundaries. I learned about chosen family. I learned that I did not have to keep returning to wells that had run dry. Maya became more than just a friend during that time. She became my anchor. She flew up to Seattle twice that spring just to spend weekends with me. We cooked terrible dinners together, watched reality television, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. I threw myself into my work with renewed energy. Without the emotional drain of constantly seeking my mother's approval, I found that I had capacity I never knew existed. I took on bigger projects, I raised my rates, I started to build something that felt like a real career. By the time December rolled around again, I was not dreading the holidays. For the first time, I was looking forward to them. Maya flew up with two of her friends from Los Angeles. My neighbor from down the hall, a sweet retired teacher named Gloria, who was also spending Christmas alone, joined us. We crammed into my tiny studio apartment, cooked a turkey that was slightly overcooked, and sides that were slightly undercooked, and declared it the best Christmas dinner any of us had ever had. We watched holiday movies until 2 in the morning. We exchanged small gifts wrapped in newspaper, because none of us had remembered to buy wrapping paper. We laughed. We cried during the sad parts of the movies. We fell asleep in a pile on my bed, and the couch, and an air mattress on the floor. It was messy. It was imperfect. It was real. And I realized lying there in the dark, listening to my friends breathe, that this was what family was supposed to feel like. Not obligation, not manipulation, not constantly trying to prove you deserved a place at the table. Just love. Simple and unconditional. My mother tried calling again a few months later. I saw her name flash on my screen and felt my stomach clench out of old habit. But I did not answer. I was not ready. Maybe I never would be. Dr. Reeves told me that forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about releasing yourself from the burden of resentment. I am still working on that. Some days I feel at peace with what happened. Other days I find myself angry all over again, grieving the mother. I wish I had the childhood I deserved, but never got. But I am no longer waiting for her to change. I am no longer bending myself into shapes trying to fit into a family that never made room for me. I am building my own life, my own family, my own definition of home. And that I have learned is the greatest gift I could ever give myself. If you have made it this far into my story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you realized